Hey friends, welcome to our last week of art class for this year. Can you believe it? We're finally here. It was so good getting to know you guys this year, both in person and in our virtual classrooms, and I really hope you all have a great summer. Now, today, grades are going to be in already, so I am not worrying about grading your work this week. We're just going to do some drawing and painting together and have some fun. All right, big kids, just like usual, if you don't have the same materials I have, don't worry about it. Use whatever colors or drawing materials you have with you, or you can always use Seesaw too. Today I'm going to use my pastels and my watercolors. I'm going to start with my white pastel, all right? And we're going to draw some stars. So on my white piece of paper, I'm going to go in, press nice and hard, and draw some little white stars. I'm spreading them out. Maybe some are a little bigger than others. Don't color the entire paper, but having a few is great. All right, and then you can put a few little tiny dots if you want. I might even do a shooting star by doing some extra lines behind one of my stars. I know it's hard to see on this paper, but all I did was I took this white pastel and I put a bunch of dots all over it, okay? Now, I'm going to take my black pastel, or whatever dark tool you have, and I'm going to go in and just gently color my corners. Now I want to create value. So in my corner, I'm pressing really hard. And then I'm going to press softer and softer and softer the further in I get, so that it almost completely fades into my picture. I'm going to press really hard, and then press softer and softer, until by the time I get over here, I'm barely touching my paper. All right, I'm going to do the same thing on all corners. All right. Now, I'm going to start by finding some yellow, whatever kind of yellow tool you have, and just barely making kind of a crazy yellow line somewhere in the middle of your paper. Doesn't have to look just like mine. Mine's going to be a little wobbly because I want it to look like it's not perfectly straight. And once you do that, if you have pink, you can use pink. I don't. I'm just going to use some red and add lots of water to it. I'm going to just barely add a little bit to the edge of my pink. Now I'm being careful because I don't want my red to totally take over the pink. I'm just barely dabbing it. See that? Now I'm going to let that dry for just a little bit. If you want to help it mix a little bit, you can, or you can just leave it. While that is drying for a little bit, I'm going to grab some purple. And I'm going to start doing some little purple areas in some places, some blobs. I think I'll even add a little bit of a purple blob in here too. Notice I'm just letting the water pool. I'm not trying to paint it on, I'm just putting a bunch of puddles of color on my paper. Now let those dry for a moment before I start grabbing some blue. I think I'll prep my blue by putting some water in it. Right, just like before, I don't want to paint on top of the paints that I've already put on my paper. So with my blue, I'm just going to start by filling in some of the outside edges. I don't want to totally fill in what I've already done because it'll all blend together. If you want to add a little water, you can. I'll slowly start going into the other areas that I painted. I don't want it to mix too much, but it's okay if it mixes a little bit. I'm going to slowly start filling in some of those white areas. Now, if you pressed really hard with your white earlier, you should start to see some little stars appearing on your paper. Now notice I'm putting some puddles of paint, and some areas I'm just leaving more light. If you want to add a little bit of your other colors to make them darker in some areas, you can. I think I'm going to add a little bit more purple and red over here. All right. Once you have mostly filled in your paper, you don't want to mix it too much because it looks the most like a galaxy when you just let the paint do its thing. So I'm going to go in, and on the outside edges, I'm going to add some black. So I'll prep my paint so it's nice and wet. Start mixing it in. And just on my outside edges, I'll start adding that black so it starts looking more like space. It's alright if it blends together a little bit. Alright guys, here's my galaxy attempt. I think I need a little bit more practice, but that's alright. I hope you guys had fun. Like I said, today's assignment is not graded, so if you would like to turn it in and show me, I would love that, but you don't have to this week unless you really want to. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful summer, and I'll see you sometime.